with proclamations. I would hope more people would be here, but unfortunately not. Mr. Hurst, if you could have your reps and all people come up if you like. Come up to the dais and face about, and the city manager will read the proclamation, and then we'll give you a few minutes to say a few words, if you like.
We'll have a video as well.
Okay. Oh, you have video? Okay, that's cool.
This might be one of my favorite proclamations. Proclamation, Parks and Recreation Month. Whereas since 1985, the month of July has been nationally celebrated as Parks and Recreation Month across the United States. And whereas this celebration, led by the National Recreation and Parks Association, highlights the essential role that parks and recreation play in shaping vibrant, connected communities throughout the nation, including the city of Palm Coast. And whereas Palm Coast Parks and Recreation, in partnership with the National Recreation and Parks Association, is promoting the theme, Build Together, Play Together, celebrating how parks and recreations create spaces that strengthen community bonds, foster lifelong friendships, and give families a place to make lasting memories. And whereas Palm Coast Parks and Recreation offers a variety of amenities, community events, and programs including summer camps, swim lessons, 13 parks and miles of trails, adult fitness classes, and social groups. And whereas during Parks and Recreation Month, Palm Coast Parks and Recreation encourages everyone to come together and experience the sense of community that grows through parks, recreation, and time spent enjoying our wonderful city. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, that July 2025 be officially designated as Parks and Recreation Month, and request that during Parks and Recreation Month, all citizens explore, connect, and play in Palm Coast by taking part in their favorite sports, visiting the outdoors, and spending time with family and friends. Signed this first day of July 2025, attests Kaylee Cook, City Clerk, City of Palm Coast, Florida, Mayor Michael Norris.
You want to do the video first, James, or you want to do the presentation?
We can do the
Okay,
video.
we'll watch the video real quick.
Do the picture.
All right.
Welcome to Palm Coast Parks and Recreation, where we build together, play together. Around here, we believe you're never too old to get out and play. There's a seat at the table for every member of the family. And while the little ones may be at the heart of our department's foundation, we provide fun for all ages, so you'll never have to dance alone. With friends that are waiting to be made at every corner, and a staff that's dedicated to creating lasting memories while working hard to protect our environment's natural beauty. Our programs provide opportunities for people of all ages to explore, connect, and play together. With special events that build holiday traditions and celebrate the cultural diversity within our community. Our goal is to bridge the gap between generations, opening the door for new friendships to bloom, and sparking conversations between friends old and young that bring us closer to a brighter future together. By observing National Park and Recreation Month, we're highlighting the essential role that Parks and Rec plays in shaping vibrant, connected communities all throughout the nation. Nothing brings us more joy than watching friends come together, get inspired, foster health and wellness, and create lasting memories together. This year marks a major milestone for the National Recreation and Park Association, who's been observing National Park and Recreation Month for 40 years. And as of just last year, the City of Palm Coast celebrated its 25th anniversary. Since 1999, our community has continued to thrive, and we hope to explore, connect, and play right here in Palm Coast for many more years to come. So tell us, what does build together, play together mean to you?
I think that video pretty much sums up Parks and Recreation. Though I do want to have a shout out to Isabel here. She did this all in-house. She did a fantastic job. So great job, Isabel. But I do want to thank City Manager, Mayor and City Council for this proclamation. We do work quite a bit. Without these people here, without this dedicated team of professionals who work weekends, holidays, 365 days a year, I feel like sometimes, even 12 hours a day, we couldn't do it without them. So I do just want to say thank you guys for all the hard work you do put in each year and every year. And then obviously just thanking our residents for coming out and enjoying our programs and some of our events that we have coming up, which is the United Flagler 4th, which is this Friday. So make sure we're out there for the fireworks. We got Food Truck Tuesday on July 15th. And then on July 19th, we have Pedal in the Park. And then on July 31st, we have our next Palm Coast concert series, which is a Jimmy Buffett cover band. So that will be at the stage from 6 to 8. So those are some of the events that we have for July. So again, thank you, Mayor and City Council, for this proclamation.
Thank you, sir. We can get everybody close in for a group picture. Come on up, crew.
Let's have two of you come on this side, even you out a little.
Center.
Yep. Okay, perfect. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, James. Thank you, everyone from Parks and Rec.
Thank you guys so much.
And we will gavel in the meeting in approximately 20 minutes. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Palm Coast City Council Business Meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. It is 6 p.m. We're in the John Netz Community Wing of City Hall. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and a short moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you haven't already, please silence all your devices. This meeting is called to order. If you could, Ms. Cook, call the roll.
Mayor Norris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pontieri.
Present.
Councilmember Gambaro.
Here.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Here.
And Councilmember Miller is absent.
Thank you, ma'am. We're going to open with public participation. Please remember, if the item is, if there's an issue that's on the agenda, please refrain from that subject until that item comes up. Please refrain from any defamatory or incendiary comments, if you can, please. And if everyone agrees to that, please come forward if you have public comment. Yes, sir.
Hello, I was here last week
Could you
regarding the...
state your name
Oh,
for
I'm
the
sorry,
record?
James Janoff, Palm Coast.
Yes, sir.
I was here last week regarding the situation with the Palm Harbor Golf Course, and I've done some homework. I think we can hopefully come to an agreement with some kind of things that I'm bringing to your attention that I think is going to enlighten everyone, and I'm going to talk as quickly as I can. I have in my hands here a list of expenses. They are all itemized. They are 2 pages long. They range from as little as $10 all the way up to $442,000. Am I reading that right? Yes, $442,000. Very detailed list of all the expenses associated with the golf course. I have nothing in relations to revenue except that I could find is a sheet, Parks and Recreation, this is off of your website, Palm Harbor Golf Club, target revenue 1.455 million, exceeded revenue by 8%, 108%, which totals $1.571 in revenue, 1.571 in revenue. Now, Mr. Gambino and others said we've been operating in the red, we've been operating in the red. I think you've said you've been going at this for 4 years and you couldn't come up with a solution. It's a basic math problem. If you take your 1.571,400,000 and divide it by the number of rounds that are recorded, 53,693, you come up with a grand total of, I believe I didn't write it down, $24 a round. Your problem isn't about raising prices. Your problem isn't about revenue. Your problem is you are not collecting what you say you're going to collect. If you look on your website, there are posted rates. Find me a rate that's $25. Now, I use that figure, and the math isn't exactly right because this revenue includes a bunch of different revenue sources. Your golf alone has 18 holes, 9 holes, with a cart, without a cart, VIP memberships that you sell at $200 a piece, apparel, golf balls, rented clubs. Where's the breakdown? I've got a sheet of expenses that's 2 pages long, and you, if you're not seeing it or it's not given to you, you have no idea where your revenue is coming from. Your problem is that if you take 80% of that figure, and I'm going to assume that all those other things that I gave you, driving range, all the other Cokes, sodas, apparel, equals 20%. If you use that figure, you've got a 1.257 revenue from golf. You divide that by the 53,693, and you're even a lower per price. Your problem isn't raising the prices. Your problem is you're not collecting what you're posting. It's very simple. You've got people, and I know I'm over, I appreciate it. You give me 30 more seconds. You are having leagues that are paying $25. You can't play golf anywhere for $25. I'm a golfer. Vice Mayor, you said we don't want to subsidize people playing golf. You have a manager, a past manager, that didn't charge. Put in your register, $31 for a round of golf.
Okay, sir.
If you do that, you're over $2 million.
Okay.
Congratulations, problem solved.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great day, everyone. I appreciate it. Mr. Gambino, I sent an email. Please read it.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Miss Jeannie.
Jeannie Duarte. It's hurricane season. Palm Coast is facing serious issues. It's time to put common sense into action. Flooding solutions don't require expensive studies. They require action. Dig drains, clear blockages, deepen ponds. Get it done. Our animal shelter is overwhelmed. We don't need a fancy building. We need fast, affordable solutions using land and resources we already have. It's better than alligator Alcatraz. Suggesting to sell a waterfront golf course for pennies on the dollar is not only an insult, but also carry legal consequences. The same goes for the library. Meanwhile, families get fined for fishing with nets, while the city approves luxury budgets, elite benefit packages, multi-million-dollar fleet upgrades, and enjoy their 151% pay raise. Firefighters, golfers, and residents don't want to be sandwiched between 5G cell towers. We sit on a gold mine, the I-95 interstate, and get passed by daily. No visible gas stations, no visible amenities, just lost revenue. We need to capture that, not cram in more housing, and stop misleading the public. The statement made on the dais last week is false and undermines public trust. The charter does allow public-private partnerships within the set spending limit and within its 36-month repayment deadline without having to go to referendum. I respectfully would like to urge today's second reads and approvals to be postponed till further notice, so our acting city manager can make right a wrong and plead for a DOJ intervention. Enough is enough. Palm Coast deserves better. Real solutions, responsible leadership, and respect for its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, Mr. Stone.
How we doing?
Fine, sir.
We use water filters to make sure we're getting clean water from the sink. 275 a readout. So obviously you not only have the second highest water rates, there's something drastically wrong with our water, which could cause several illnesses. Several. Second thing, I can't wait for Thursday, because a lot of you are going to be embarrassed. You picked on a man who's never taken a dime, not a dime, from a contractor or a builder. And yet there's someone on this council that's up to over $8,000 in contribution from developers or mom and pop shops. I have every printout, and yet you mentioned to the press, he's clean. He's clean. And his hands raised when you went through a couple of development. Yes, approve it. Yes, approve it. Yes, approve it. This is all wrong. You pick on the wrong man. You're going to be shocked when you go there Thursday. In this case, it's not about what he might have done to employees. It's strictly that a man came in illegally. I said this months ago, there should have been a valet Thank God De La Rosa's leaving. And once this state decides to do an investigation down there, you're going to see a lot more people quitting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am, Miss Carroll. State your name for the record, though.
Carol Stoughton, Palm Coast, Florida. This might seem trivial, but we were all just charged an extra little fee of up to $3 and $4 because the person who sends out the water bills wanted more money. I don't know if any of you decided to go and look at other companies for a better price. And this, again, being trivial, I pay out of my bank account, yet they put an envelope in the bill for me to send my money. I think we could save a few trees, and maybe we could have gotten a cheaper price on the billing if we don't send envelopes with the bill, because we've already paid the bill. I think somebody should have considered that. But a lot of people in office here make way over $100,000, so it doesn't matter to them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Risa.
Hi, Risa Paps. I just have a few questions I'd like to ask. And these are questions I've already asked before, but I'd like to see if I can still get clarification on them. There was a couple months ago, we met with Lauren on trying to get an employee for the Palm Coast Historical Society that we currently pay for, and we had talked to the city about it several times prior to that. And we were told that that was not going to be able to happen because of legal reasons. I'd like to understand what the legal reasons would be that we would not be able to have the employee that we currently pay for be paid for through the city as a historian for the city or something, but we were not really given a reason. The other thing is that I had sent letters to all of the city council members concerning the grant debacle that we recently had, and I didn't hear back from very many of you. A couple of people I heard back from for later dates that I would be meeting with. Also on Fire Station 22, and I just want to let you know that I'm going to send that up the flagpole like you guys did and see if the Ethics Committee would be interested in my complaint on that, because I couldn't get anybody here to listen to it. I wanted to study your ethics complaint as an example, and I found that several of your sworn statements were not dated properly. The one that was signed by Marcus Duffy was not, and the one that was signed by DiLorenzo was not dated properly. So pretty sure in the court of law those sworn statements get thrown out if they're not have the correct date on them. They had 2024 on them. And there were 6 of the sworn statements that had the wrong dates on them. But having said that, I also wanted to know for Fire Station 22, who appoints the stakeholders for that, and who are the stakeholders for the new fire station? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir?
Evening, Council. Joe Runak, 7 Courtney Court in Palm Coast. Just like make a few comments regarding the golf course, Palm Harbor Golf Course. Once you sell the course, if that was going to be the result, right now Ormond Beach has a huge tax problem with Riverbend. A lot of similarities. Their course was sold. The purchaser went bankrupt. The course, they did not even know, went from tax exempt to right now they have 7 to 8 years of unpaid taxes and a bigger lawyer's bill than the tax itself. And the community has no golf course. And again, at this point, also Matanzas, everybody has an idea what happened there. You have very unhappy people, you have chain link fences, you have grass 3 feet high. I don't think anybody wants that as far as being good for Palm Coast. I would say our course kind of has one of its or two of its hands tied behind its back, because a lot of courses have pro shop revenue and real restaurant revenue, where we operate out of 2 trailers. 5 golf shirts and a dozen balls is not a pro shop. If anybody would take the time to go look down in Daytona Beach, I'm sure they make a lot of money selling clubs, fittings. It's beautiful when you walk in there. So I would imagine it would be a little tough without that revenue. Maybe something we could look into. I don't know if there were any plans to expand from the 2 trailers. I know Ms. Pontieri mentioned very low revenue from loopers. I believe they try to do a good job, but it's extremely small as far as how many people you could fit in there. I have great respect. I do live on a golf course. I live on a 15th tee. I have great respect for Roger, the greenskeeper, and his crew. They do an excellent job. What we would love to see is a perpetual deed restriction on any sale. Perhaps we can bring in a consultant. I don't know if he has to be full-time or not, regarding getting a little sharper pencil on the things that need it. Perhaps even some discussions with other towns. I don't know if that's in the works or not, but all of these things would help us keep Palm Coast the owner of Palm Harbor Restaurant, Palm Harbor Golf Course, excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Nice suit, by the way.
How you doing? Navy, 16 years old, high school dropout, okay? Here we go.
State your name for the record, sir.
Okay, now,
Sir, state your name for the
Honorable-
record. State your name for the record, sir.
Honorable Mayor Norris, all due respect if I go over time, I'm trying to cut it short. Last week of May was Veteran Celebrations, okay? Guess what? I visited the Belter Swim and Racket Club on June 1st, nothing. The pool was closed. The temperature was 85 degrees. 0 celebration for veterans. Why? I don't know. I went to the same pool the 29th of June. Again, the temperature is 85 degrees. Yes, the pool was closed. This is Sunday. Why? What a great time to spend with your family together, memories of a lifetime, spending quality moments with the entire family together. But it's closed. Okay. A facility of this magnitude, why is this so poorly managed? Why is the infrastructure in such poor condition? Where is the accountability? Who is in charge of the daily inspections? This facility is going from bad to worse. Why? Is there a hidden agenda there? Well, you know what I'm talking about? There's always a hidden agenda, okay? We know that. I'm from the other side of town, okay? Where are the improvement plans for the future pool? Why the people of Palm Coast are paying for this facility? Yes, and they cannot use it to improve their health. The medical advantages of swimming daily can improve your heart cardio functions, your lung capacity, in addition to your body mobility, and more importantly, your cognitive ability. Lastly, I want to thank you for the progress that we're making for the YMCA. It is about time that not you, the previous administration, but you're going into the right direction. It is my opinion that we, the people, should have a consensus on the voting ballot as to how we judge the progress of Palm Coast. The Constitution of the United States, the majority rules in terms of votes. The mayor, in my opinion, is the top most important individual to vote yes or no on any topic concerning the community of Palm Coast. This is the democratic process as I see it. If for some reason this mayor wants to clean house, so be it. There's one captain to a ship and there's an executive officer. The captain is the one who steers the ship. Lastly, our Mayor Norris, who has worn a United States military uniform, should be given the total respect he has earned years past. Columbus had a mutiner on the ship. Guess what? He threw him off the sailor into the water, and the sailor is still moving and swimming towards America, okay? Thank you for the bottom of my heart. God bless. I tell the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Long.
Good evening, Anna Maria Long, Executive Officer of Flagler HBA. Not on what I was going to say, but I do think it's important to note that Councilman Miller is not here, but there are 5 veterans that I see sitting on the dais. So thank you all for your service. I wanted to take a moment to share an update from a recent trip I took to Washington, D.C. for the National Association of Home Builders Spring Legislative Conference. While there, I had the privilege of joining our association president, Robbie Barrick, owner of Integrity Homes, for meetings on Capitol Hill to advocate for local housing and infrastructure priorities, as well as national housing and infrastructure priorities. Among those meetings, we sat down with Congressman Randy Fine and directly discussed the City of Palm Coast long-term needs. Specifically, we shared our support for converting wastewater treatment plant 1 into an advanced wastewater treatment facility, and we requested his support in helping secure federal resources or guidance to move that initiative forward. I do have photo evidence, however, his staff has the photo, so getting it might be an issue, but I did take a photo with him and your palm card. It is important to us that Flagler Home Builders Association isn't just showing up locally, we're showing up nationally. And when we speak to lawmakers, we do so with a shared vision for the city's future: safe infrastructure, responsible growth, and a housing market that's accessible to the families and workforce who call Palm Coast home. We appreciate the city's continued engagement in its legislative priorities, and we hope this shows that the building community is not only aligned with those goals, we're actively working to help achieve them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Regine Bernier. I would hope that our new mayor, who got voted twice by the city of Palm Coast, have the respect he deserved by all who work with him. And to you, Vice Mayor, I admire you for your fairness and your experience. In all, you try to do better for this community. Let's all work together as a family in spite of our differences. Now, Royal Palm is building new building with a new company now. Nobody will be able to use this road eventually to come from Flagler Beach to Belterre, or it will be too much traffic. Maybe we should open the highway, the exit and the entrance on 95 to release the pressure on that road. Otherwise, we only have Colbert Lane, Old Kings Road, Town Center, and the hundreds to enter within the city. This city is no longer quiet as it was 16 years ago. As for the YMCA, I thank you for approving it. But meanwhile, why can't we, before it takes 2.5 years to build, why don't we reopen Belterre Swim and Racquet Club instead of leaving it only for the youth? What about the rest of the population that wants to use it also? It's our taxpayer money. Let's all work together, a better place to live, and try harder. I expect that from all of you. I believe more people are coming in than going out. The city is deteriorating from all too much building, too much growth, too much traffic. And the police will have a harder time to protect this community. God bless them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
How you doing all? My name is Paul Descartes. I would like to speak on why we don't have a Social Security office. Because I've been here a little over 25 years. My father had a house built here over 35 years. I've seen it when it was only 3 stores and one road on Palm Coast, Old Kings Road was the only road there. And I mean, I'm not mad against or upset about growth. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, so I know about growth, a city that never sleeps. But this is getting crazy out of hand with all this building and building and building. Then one of the simplest things, especially to assist the elderly or the handicapped or the disabled, Palm Coast don't have. You know, they say Palm Coast is a growing city and is accessible for everybody for whatever you need. But one of the main things that we do need is a Social Security office. And I ask different individuals, like my brother, he's worked for the sheriff's office for over 20 years. and asked different deputies, different officials, and nobody can answer why. Because I remember years ago where they put the ABC liquor store, everybody thought that was going to be the Social Security office. It was a prime spot, accessible spot for everyone. And they wound up putting the liquor store there, you know, and that's crazy. Palm Coast is not a ghetto, you know. The first thing you come off the highway you don't want to see, I know I don't want to see, is a liquor store. Like I said, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. There was liquor stores on every corner. And I don't care if they got fine wine or whatever attached to it, but the first thing I know I'm going to a place, I don't want to see a liquor store sitting on the corner. And that's my main question why I ask is why we do not have a Social Security office. And it is way overcrowded now because everywhere you turn, there's nothing but building going on. And I'm saying to myself, you see all these condos and complexes, where is the Social Security office that should be there for us, especially as taxpayer citizens? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have time enough for 2 more comments. Yes, Mr. McDonald.
Evening, Council. Dennis McDonald. I wanted to thank Councilwoman Pontieri for doing a deep dive into the actual numbers on the golf course at the last meeting. It was very nice to see that. There's obviously some huge questions in there, some very large numbers that nobody has any explanations for. But one of the reasons why I came today is that what she illustrated is what's going on with the management of the city overall, okay? She brought up the fact that a golf course, one of the key things that a golf course makes money on is not only golf, but it's food and liquor. And what do? Jason DiLorenzo gave away the lease, or the concession agreement is what it really was. It really wasn't a lease, it was a concession agreement, okay? Gave it away. We make peanuts on it, okay? So we've lost a major component of profit. But the point is, who's managing this place, okay, and allowed that to happen? And I don't think it's the person who actually runs the golf course. I think it's much farther up and runs back to the city manager, because obviously she's got a background, okay, in recreation. She used to run the recreation department. So, and just think back. It wasn't that long ago that I sat in this room and this place was absolutely full of people, wall to wall, standing and everything, on the garbage contract. Okay, we changed garbage contractors to a substandard contractor who everybody in this city will agree doesn't do the job that the former company did, all right? And we changed it. Why? We saved less than $1 per household, okay, on this thing per month. Seriously, another Jason DiLorenzo giveaway, okay? And in February of 2023, in this room, in the back, we watched the giveaway, okay, of the harbor, the new high-rise that was approved down at the harbor side. We have a situation down there where this city council, former city council, approved 3 times the maximum density allowed in Palm Coast. How did that happen? Look at the cameras. There's a conversation with Mr. DiLorenzo and Mr. Livingston in the back having a little confab while Mayor Alfin kind of slow walks things till he gets a nod from Jason DiLorenzo, okay? The problem that we have in this city, okay, is very simply that we're grossly mismanaged from the top, not from the middle, not from the bottom, all good people, okay, from the very top, okay? And I appreciate you bringing those numbers forward. They really helped to show that we have a much bigger problem than just the golf course. It's everywhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have time enough for one more. If anyone wants to make a comment? Seeing no one come forward, we'll bring it back to the dais. Any follow-up, City Manager?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. To Ms. Duarte about the DOGE initiative, City Council approved us moving forward with DOGE on May the 6th at their business meeting. And City Council, I emailed you on 6/24 the latest update from DOGE, that they did not have an exact date of when they will be completing our analysis. They were reviewing several cities and counties as well as state colleges, universities, and state agencies, and they'll be releasing a document with best practices for local jurisdictions soon, and they will share with the counties and cities. And that was sent to you again on 6/24. And in regards to Ms. Risa with the Palm Coast Historical Society, I'm not sure the legal concern she's speaking about, but if their employee wanted to become a City of Palm Coast employee, they're welcome to apply to any of the vacant positions that we may have. We've talked about maybe having a part-time recreational leader in Parks and Recreation that would be available, and they would need to apply for that position. But with the concerns of the budget, Parks and Rec is not looking at any major increases this year. So if City Council were looking at adding a new position, we would need to discuss that next week. In response to the Fire Station 22 and the stakeholders, Mayor, City Council, I have in my notes on your workshop on April 8th, we discussed Fire Station 22, and it came from this dais that committee members should include Palm Coast Historical Society, the Chamber, TDC, FC3, the schools, and a fire department support staff member. That was your direction that you gave at that workshop. And in regards to Belterre Swim and Racket Club, that is not a city facility. We have the Palm Coast Aquatic Center or Frida Zamba Pool. Belterre Swim and Racket is managed by the Flagler County School District. So this body does not have any powers or abilities when that pool is open or closed. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Anything else from the dais?
Just really quickly, regarding the Fire Station 22, Ms. Pabst, I am setting up a meeting with multiple people. I believe you're included in that. That includes staff. If not, we'll certainly reach out to you because I'm really trying to be hands-on with this as much as possible. So even though people may not be termed, quote, stakeholders, I am trying to keep people that have been historically kind of in the loop on this project, remaining in the loop. So to the extent you're not included on those communications, I think you are, but if you're not, please let me know. The only other thing I had was the golf course. I just want to let the residents know that I'm still doing a lot of research. There have been a lot of people that have emailed me suggestions, asked myself and staff to reach out to various municipalities that have golf courses, and we are doing that. So we are exercising a lot of due diligence and trying to do research. So just want to let the residents that are concerned about the golf course know that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anything else from the dais? City Attorney, have you issued a legal reason why we can't have a historian for the city? Have you given a legal opinion to anyone on staff or the City Council regarding hiring a city historian?
Forgot I got to turn my mic on. No, but I would say that a city historian would fall under the hold on, let me finish, sir. It would fall under the operations budget, so that would fall under the city manager's view if she would want to hire a city historian.
Okay, so you have not given a legal opinion on transferring over a position into a historian position?
Ask that. I'm sorry, I'm confused by your question.
I'm asking you if you've had discussion with the city manager or anyone else on the staff as far as converting one of our positions into a historian position.
I can't recall off the top of my head. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen because there are thousands of staff members that ask me questions every day. And so if you're asking about a conversation that probably happened maybe 8 months ago to a year, I can't remember, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. We don't have 1,000 staff members, Marcus. Okay. As far as city manager, is there even any discussion about a Social Security office being located in Palm Coast?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Okay. Where is the current? We have one in the county?
Port Orange is.
No, I know there's one in Daytona. I know there's one in St. Augustine.
No. We need to see if we can follow up with county about that. Maybe, I don't know. But I do think our population is at the point where we do need a Social Security office in our area, right here in the city limits. Okay. Was there an additional $3 or $4 rate increase on utilities that Ms. Carroll mentioned? that just popped up out of nowhere. Have you received any traffic about that?
I'm not sure if that's in reference to the transaction fees or the credit card transaction fees. So if you're paying a different way, then that would be on people's bill. That would be the only thing that I'm aware of, Mayor.
Okay. Do we have anybody from customer service in the back?
No, sir. No, sir, we do not.
Could you have somebody follow up with Ms. Carroll on that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to item F, minutes. We need to approve the June 17th business meeting minutes and the June 24th workshop meeting.
Mr. Mayor, move approval of the minutes.
We got a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are you good, Ms. Cook?
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am. We're going to move on to item G, ordinance of the second read. Legal counsel.
Yes, sir. So we have a 2025 ordinance amending Chapter 29 Impact Fees, Article 2, Transportation Impact Fees, Code of Ordinances of the City of Palm Coast to adjust rates based on comprehensive study, including extraordinary circumstances study.
Okay. Can I pause for just a second, Marcus, and go back? I'm sorry, I needed to cover something else on this. From my understanding, from conversations I've been having in the city, there's a lot of people that are hustling to get in on that fire station. And I think the reason that the last council pretty much kept the fire station being razzed was to dedicate that to the Historic Society. So I don't know what other outside agencies are trying to get a part of that. As a matter of fact, there's one former politician that said the Boys and Girls Club was going to take that building from us, that they were going to get that building through the city. So I would assume that this council, we are still dedicated to the Historic Society being the primary occupant of that building, correct? Is there been something that I don't know about in discussion with that facility?
I don't believe so, Mayor. The discussion with prior council was really using it as a welcoming center for the city,
Yes.
in which the Historical Society would obviously have a very large role. There was also discussion about having some type of like welcoming kiosk with, the rack card shelves where you have all the different activities and things like that, as well as possibly highlighting local businesses, almost akin to like, if you recall, the old chamber had, when they had that building over on 100, when you walked in, they had like a rack card display with all the local businesses information. So I know there was discussion on various items like that, but, there wasn't a motion made at any time to say, hey, this is dedicated space for the Historical Society, but I think the intent was to make it a welcome center where the Historical Society was like the primary, occupant,
Yes.
of the space.
Yes, sir.
On the Boys and Girls Club, my understanding there was if the Historical Society were to move from where they are now to the fire station, then the building where they are now could possibly be used by the Boys and Girls Club.
Well, we have a lot of other organizations that are looking for space too, but I just want to make sure that we're clear that the main occupant of that building for Fire Station 22, Ms. Reese also told me that she had a meeting with the architect, and basically all the architect presented them was a map of the area with the parking. The building was not even represented on the map. So who is the contractual firm the architect that is dealing with Fire Station 22? City manager?
Carl, can
Carl,
you?
if you know that, that's fine. Come on up.
So what we did was we put together that stakeholder list and we convened a meeting, and we're soliciting input of how that program, we're trying to put together the program of the space of the building. Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, we advertised an RFSQ and we had consultants submit qualifications, and part of it was historic preservation was a big factor in who we picked. We did pick Forefront Architecture. We're going through a typical process when you have a building. So we took council's direction from the workshop and included stakeholder groups to get input on what their potential needs and any proposed uses for the building might be. So we're trying to gather input from everyone. So they take that and create a program saying, hey, there's an exhibit space called for, they're talking about this. Historical may say, hey, we need storage, we need a meeting space, we need 2 offices, whatever it may be, they're compiling all that information. So we're not in the design phase here. We're in what's the building going to be, who's going in it, how many people, what type of functions and programs are gonna occur in the building. So we're gonna gather all the information and come back to council saying, hey, this is the findings from the stakeholders. This is what we heard, and they're gonna propose, and they're gonna show you what the feedback was. And then we would get direction from council saying, okay, this is our vision, this is how we want you to move forward to now start working on a design, floor plan, layouts, and from that point forward.
Okay, Carl, how much have we paid that architectural firm so far?
I
Have we
don't
paid
recall.
them any money?
Obviously, we've had numerous meetings. I think all the stakeholder meetings are over. I think they've compiled the information,
Well, when you-
and
Let me pause you for a second. When you say stakeholders, was it a combined joint stakeholder meeting, or was it individual stakeholders?
I believe it was individual stakeholder
And why
groups.
would we do that if we're trying to?
Because with so many people, no one can come on a date and time.
Well,
So-
the primary focus was for the Historic Society moving into that facility.
That was never determined, Mr. Mayor.
At the
That-
meeting, it was, here's the stakeholders, and that's how we proceeded.
And I think we all want the Historical Society to find a new home. We think they've outgrown the space. We think it's important to preserve history. But I think from this dais, it was never finally determined
I think this
who the
was-
key players.
I think this was before your time.
No,
Councilman.
this happened before you were on this council, Mr. Mayor.
May I make a suggestion? What is the timeline that you're thinking, Carl, as far as the progress that you all have made so far, and when you'd be able to present council with an update on the status?
I believe we'd be targeting probably the first workshop in August.
Can we get kind of a midpoint, even if it's just a short presentation at a workshop in the next month, just where are we at and what are the next steps, so that we can make sure we're in a good place without giving like the full-on presentation that you're planning for in August?
I would support that, a mid-progress review.
Can I
A month
just
is
email
August.
you? Yeah, a month is August, so can I just email you a
Gosh, you're
brief?
right. It's already
Yeah, it's
July.
July 1st. So,
Year's halfway over.
yes.
Okay.
Can I email you a brief, and then you'll see it on August 12th?
That's fine. My biggest concern, Carl, is when I've seen that briefing packet twice, and all it does is show the property. It didn't even show the building. Ms. Reese showed it to me, and I held a meeting over at the community center, and I saw it again over there. So if they're working on the parking lot and stuff, that's already a given, right? That's
Correct, yeah, the parking's not part of the conversation.
then the whole presentation, there wasn't even a graphic representation of the building.
Well, historical people have toured the building. They've asked to come in the building, and they've seen the building.
Okay, I'd like to know how much we have paid that firm so far, so I'd like to get that data.
Billing is a month or two behind, so I don't know what we've actually paid them or how many hours they've actually billed to date. I can look up the PO amount and get the scope of services and provide you with that.
Yeah, because I think from before I was even elected, that was the main point, Vice Mayor, was for the Historic Society to have that building as a reception center for the city.
It was a welcoming center, but yes, the Historical Society was supposed to play a very large role in that. What I think, in my opinion, and what's maybe perhaps getting lost in some of this, is I think we're trying to run before we walk. I mean, the main focus was truly, let's create more parking for the community center. And then it was, are we going to remove Fire Station 22, or are we going to preserve Fire Station 22? So step 2 was, we have decided we're going to preserve Fire Station 22. Step 3 now is, let's design everything. Parking lot done, because we had to decide on how many parking spots we were going to be able to get with the preservation of the building. And now it is, okay, we have to figure out how we're even going to bring it up to code and do all those things, which in my opinion, we don't really even, I don't think, have a scope of what the different costs would look like. So I think this is just a multi-step process, and there are some people, I've talked to them, who have different opinions about how things should go on this piece of property. That's why I've said, hey, let me meet with you guys so that I can hear you as well. I haven't had a chance to have that meeting yet. I understand your concerns. I understand Ms. Papp's concerns. That's why I've reached out and tried to bring these people around the table. But I think we just need to get updates and then give staff, once we get that update, a clear direction as to which way we need to go, whether we need to stay the course as to what they're currently doing, or we need to go a different direction, but we're not there yet.
I do think we need to focus on the Historic Society being the primary occupant of that building. And we've already seen that they've been shunned by the community from the TDC. And I personally don't want the TDC having any part in our Historic Society building and our Welcome Center. Matter of fact, the Historic Society should be receiving funds from the TDC to operate a Welcome Center. Because we know that building they're expecting to go in, what, $20 million down on State Road 100? It's just another space. It's just another space. And I don't think that we should be, farming out our building to other organizations that are not core to the city function.
Well, Mayor, I mean, I have to push back a little bit and ask you why you would say the TDC has shunned the Historical Society.
Well, I'm sorry, let me say this, TDC plus the FC3. Would that be a better way to, we've just listened to the audio of that meeting.
Oh, I spoke out about my issues with what happened there, but I mean, look, the TDC plays a really important role for the community. They've given grants for a lot of the important things in our community, particularly with Parks and Rec, and we're presumably going to try to get another grant this year. I think we need to be careful with how we say other organizations aren't going to be involved with this, because we may need funding, we may need grants, we may need the participation of certain organizations in order to help fund this.
Vice Mayor, since early 2011, 2010, the only money that the city has received from the TDC is $1.2 million. And the majority of that money was for Indian Trails Sports Complex and like $15,000 a year for fireworks. So where is that money going?
It goes to the beach. A lot of it goes to the beach renourishment.
Not the beach.
I understand that, Mayor, but the beach is still very important to the economy in this city. I mean, you can't argue that it's not.
I'm not saying that, but we are not getting our proportional share of money from the TDC.
Well, Mayor, the Southern Recreational Center got $750,000.
That's part of that $1.2 million I just mentioned, Councilman.
And also continually for sports organizations get money from the TDC when they have groups here for major sports activities. And that happens all the time.
Vice Mayor, I support your approach on doing this comprehensively, taking it step by step and making sure that we've got everybody's input moving forward. I think we all would like to see the Historical Society be part of that fire station. And so I support your approach. I think it's smart.
That's at the core of that historic fire station, is the Historic Society.
I agree with you.
That's at the core.
Yeah,
I just want us to keep that in perspective.
I think we have consensus. We just need to make sure we're not going in different directions than what we've already advised staff.
Well, all we received is a layout of the land and the parking lot. It's really one anything concentrating on the building and separating and meeting separately with people. We should come together in like a working group to come to a resolution on what we're going to do with the building, but not shun someone off and say, okay, they're not going to get to play in our sandbox. And that's basically what's happened with the Palm Coast Historic Society through the FC3 and the TDC. And I challenge anybody that hadn't been happening, because it has. With that being said, we can move on to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Legal counsel, please. You could read it again.
Yes, sir. We have an ordinance of the second read, an ordinance 2025, amending Chapter 29 Impact Fees, Article 2, Transportation Impact Fees, Code of Ordinances of the City of Palm Coast to adjust rates based on a comprehensive study, including extraordinary circumstances study.
Mr. Fong, what you got for us, sir?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and City Council.
You got a mic?
Sure.
Push the button. Buttons.
There you go. Okay. Fong Wing, Senior Planner with Community Development Department. With me is Ms. Katie Deering. She's the Deputy Director in Traffic Operation for LTG Engineering and Planning. So what we bring back to you today is based on your direction from June 10 workshop. You directed us to review U.S. Highway from the improvements. revise the State Road 100 only between Belterre and Old Kings Road, consider rates per square foot for residential, and assume a $30 million in funding. So we provided that to you at the first hearing, June 17. So as far as the fee structure and the results of that, there's no change other than what you had directed us at the first reading, June 17. You asked us to remove the vested single-family platted lots and duplex platted lots. That's the first change. And so if you look at the fee schedule here, we remove those two items there from the fee schedule. Everything else remains the same. The second item that you have asked us to do is that revise Exhibit A in the ordinance, Section 29-34D9. We added accessory dwelling units are not exempt. Sections 29-35A and G replace certificate of occupancy with building permit. Section 29-35B, we deleted completely. That's relating to early payment incentive. And then Section 29-35D and F will replace director with city council. So everything that will make changes will go to city council for approval. And with that, I want to go over the summary of findings for extraordinary circumstances. We provided 7 findings. First is prior growth in population is at a higher rate than the state of Florida. Projected growth in population rates will be higher than the state of Florida. Inflation has significantly increased the cost of road and intersection improvements. Number 4, statewide inflation for transportation facilities over the past 6 years exceeded 120%. National inflation for transportation facilities over the past 6 years exceeded 80%. We included a $30 million in reasonably anticipated funding to offset calculate impact fee, and that's the fee that we provided to you and presented to you on June 17. And increases due to updates in trip lengths, trip generation, and vehicle travel demand. So those are the 7 findings to justify for extraordinary circumstances. So with that, you can see that the City of Palm Coast Transportation Impact Fee Technical Report dated June 2025 documents the need for road and intersection improvements to accommodate future travel demand. The calculation for the transportation impact fee update is based on the most recent and localized data as of 2025. Limiting increases in fees will impact the ability of the city to fund improvements to ensure new development mitigates its transportation impacts. The technical report and this study, which is the extraordinary circumstances study, serves as the basis for the findings of extraordinary circumstances in support of adoption of the transportation impact fee at 100% of the calculated rates. So here, once again, is the updated fee schedule that we presented to you at the first reading, June 17. As you can see, most of the rates are beyond increases beyond the 50%. And with that, we ask that you adopt Ordinance 2025-XX, amending Chapter 29 impact fees to adjust rates based on a comprehensive study, including an extraordinary circumstance study prepared by LTG and New Urban Concepts, LLC. With that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you, sir. Anything from the dais? You got anything, Vice Mayor?
There was only one part of the actual ordinance that I don't remember if we discussed it last time or if I just didn't catch it the first time around. It's the appeals process in section 29-37. I think that we had decided that any appeal would come before city council. This still references city manager reviewing the appeal. I just want to make it clear that city council will be the only reviewing authority for any appeals of any transportation impact fee.
Yeah, that's exactly what we agreed to. Yeah.
So we just need to adjust that section of the ordinance, Marcus, please. That was it. Thank you.
That was a question I had earlier, Marcus. Did we change that language?
I thought we did, so it's out there, but we can have it changed for this one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of places in the ordinance where it exists. Like I said, I don't remember if we just didn't talk about that specific section the first time around. I did see you changed it everywhere else, though.
Talked specifically about that during the last meeting.
No, I know, but there were multiple sections.
Oh, I know. That's,
Yeah.
it should have all been
For a number of
removed.
changes.
The only appeal process should be coming through the city council.
Right.
You got that, Marcus?
Yes, sir.
And, okay. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Just on the recommended action, should we add the effective date or not?
It goes into effect,
Just on the actual motion.
90 days after, right? Is it 90? How many days is it?
Well,
city
it's
manager?
not on there, just, I think it's October 1st, but,
90 days from the notice.
It's on there. It's,
It's actually in the ordinance
yeah,
itself.
I know. It's not on the actual.
Yeah, Mayor. In the ordinance, basically, it states that the effective date for the collection of the new fees would be October 1st.
Yes.
Based on today's, if council
that's
adopts
my
it today. But based on legislation, the ordinance will be effective 90 days after the first notice. So that's approximately September 9.
Okay, thank you.
That clarifies that.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? Did you see anything out of the ordinary, city, Vice Mayor?
No.
Anybody else? Can we get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the impact fees, accepting the extraordinary circumstances study prepared by LTG Inc. and New Urban Concepts LLC, and to adjust rates based on the comprehensive study.
Second.
Got a motion. Marcus, you're good on changing that language? Yes, sir. Okay, any further discussion from the dais? We'll open this up for public comment. This is concerning the transportation impact fees, if you have anything to say. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Long.
Good evening. I'm here tonight again on behalf of the Flagler Home Builders Association to speak plainly about the proposed transportation impact fee increase. And yes, this is the second reading, so we know the drill, but it bears repeating. We support a legal, justified increase up to the 50% cap allowed under Florida's law. That's not just reasonable, it's responsible. What we oppose and what this vote represents is a blatant overreach under the guise of extraordinary circumstances. Let's be honest. The city's own 2020 study projected higher population growth than what actually occurred. Now, in 2025, you're forecasting lower numbers than what you once expected, yet somehow this less than extraordinary growth is being used to justify more than extraordinary fees. And while we're on the subject, construction cost increases are not extraordinary. They're industry-wide, well-documented, and at this point, largely stabilized. Every builder in this city has navigated those same pressures without asking to bend the law. If rising material costs were truly extraordinary, every city in Florida would be invoking this clause, and they're not. You're trying to make a statewide trend sound like a local crisis, and the numbers just don't back that up. We've heard the justification shift from growth to cost to consultant recommendations, but the facts haven't changed, only the reasoning has. And unlike Palm Coast, other cities across Florida, Ocala, Port Orange, Northport, have found ways to responsibly manage growth without invoking extraordinary circumstances to dodge the law. Let's call this what it is, a workaround that drives up housing costs, chokes new construction, and burdens future homeowners. This council has every right to raise fees responsibly, but when you sidestep statutory caps without meeting the actual legal standard, you're not exercising fiscal leadership. You're exercising poor judgment. We've built this community. We want to keep building it. But tonight's vote will show whether this council is interested in lawful solutions or just lawyering around them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Jeannie.
I agree with what she said. These impact fees only get passed on to the consumers, and it makes housing less affordable.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Mindy.
Mindy Melendez. We discussed this at the Affordable Housing Committee meeting, and we never got to talk about it because these fees are so high. It's going to really impact our ability for the affordable housing for the people. Right now, it's a reach to get people to be able to afford a house here in Palm Coast, and that's why a lot of the houses are sitting. And so it doesn't even fit within our realm of affordable housing by raising the fees. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Willie Laris, Palm Coast. The problem is this, IT&T with the pool and all this, where is the deed? What's going, we need someone to stop kicking the ball and do something, okay? That's what I'm saying. Stop kicking. I am 86 years old, and thank God I don't go to the pool over here because you know why?
Sir, this is specific to this item, not, you can't talk about the pool. Specifically about this item.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
No worries.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm sorry, okay.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else concerning the impact fee increase? Yes, sir, Mr. McDonald.
We have had extraordinary circumstances. There's no question about it. And what we've had for extraordinary circumstances for at least the last 2 decades is the abuse of the taxpayers having to suck up in the general fund, okay, the fees that should have been paid by developers. Okay, you're talking to a guy who's a lifetime developer. Okay, and so it's not like I've got an edge, here one way or the other. Just like when I talk about the golf course, I'm not a golfer. I don't play golf. Okay, so my interest here is in seeing that the tax burden is shifted onto the people who are actually creating the load. That's the new houses. That's the way it should be. And so consequently, these are extraordinary times. We've been getting hit for 2 decades here in Palm Coast because the game's been run on us because there were more of them, okay, from the ITT days and all the people that were connected to it, okay, to present. I believe we've turned the corner now with COVID and the move-in that we've had here. So I applaud your move, and I look forward to those increases being put in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Carroll.
I agree with the impact fees. Let's face it, this city has had for the past 10 years gross development, terrible infrastructure not being considered, not realizing that the existing taxpayers are paying for the developers. Okay, the young lady that's with the Realty Association, of course they want to promote, but let's consider the taxpayer who gets stuck with the extra needs that the town needs, such as fire department, fire trucks, our water, our sewers. That's all why we have to raise impact fees.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? We'll close it for public discussion, bring it back to the dais. Any final comments? You got anything, Vice Mayor?
I do not.
Thank you. Anything else from you gentlemen?
No.
All right, Ms. Cook, call a vote.
Vice Mayor Pontieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro,
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Norris.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am. We're moving on to G4. Marcus, if you could, please.
Yes, we have it. Sorry, still getting used to the button. We have a second read of the ordinance 2025, amending the City of Palm Coast Unified Land Development Code, Chapter 13, relating to exterior colors.
Thank you, sir. You got any follow-up, Ms. Barbara? Or we're just reading it. Do we need to go back to another presentation?
Mayor, City Council, we've made the recommended changes from your last reading of this, and staff is here for any further questions.
You have something, Vice Mayor?
I do not.
Anyone have anything else? Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended ordinance regarding the exterior colors.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a second. Marcus, can I move to amend the main motion?
No, you
Can I hand the gavel over to move to
there's,
amend the main
there's
motion?
there's already been a motion, it's been second, so now it's just open discussion on that particular motion.
Well, what I would like in this is, if we can come to consensus among the council to add a grace period in there for existing homes within the community. I personally voted against this on the first read, and I don't think we should be dictating what people's house colors are. So I would like to amend it to allow like an 8-year grace period for existing homes that are not currently in the spectrum. I had someone send me a picture from down off of Bell Terrace South, Barbara. It's a brown house. It's probably been there 30 years. Dark brown house. I need to send you the address to check it because I'm sure it's never been cited. So I'd like to amend this to allow like some sort of grace period for these houses to come into compliance.
So, Mayor, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, so we're widening the spectrum, we're allowing more house colors. So anybody who's not in compliance currently wouldn't be rendered out of compliance through the passage of this ordinance. So they're already in non-compliance. Why would we allow more time to remain in non-compliance?
Because it's a silly resolution, it's a silly ordinance.
It's our ordinance, though. That's not, that shouldn't even be a discussion. It's an ordinance.
I think we should have expanded the spectrum for darker colors, and we didn't do it. So I'm going to be a no vote on this, so.
I do have a motion I'm going to make after the second reading.
We've already, this is a second.
I mean, after we approve the second reading.
He's talking about another motion.
Another motion
All right.
in this area.
I don't care for it at all. So, any further discussion? If I can't get any consensus on allowing some type of grace for those individuals? Okay, no further discussion. Open up for public comment.
Painting a house is extremely expensive, thousands of dollars. If the ones that are already done and that are 30 years old, that shouldn't even be considered a violation. They should be grandfathered in. I agree, this is a ridiculous ordinance. As long as it's not psychedelic colors, multicolors, different, stripes and you name it, polka dots, I think it should be thrown out. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Oh. Yes, sir.
Eddie Lang, Palm Coast, R section. So I think this ordinance is ridiculous. Who are, as you or anybody here, to tell us how to paint our home? It's our home. A color is not going to devalue your neighbor. So I have a little something here that normally I don't write anything down, so here you go. Okay, right? So good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here tonight to not protest rezoning, debate traffic patterns, or argue stormwater, but to defend something far more fundamental, the freedom to paint one's own home beige or not. Yes, tonight we're talking about color, specifically the right of homeowners to choose shade of paint without first consulting a municipal light reflect LRV chart that reads more like lab test than lifestyle. Let me be clear, no one is asking to paint their home neon pink with glitter trim, as much as that might be cool. But when a homeowner wants to go a little outside the narrow band of taupe, grayish, or approved oyster, they shouldn't need to submit to what feels like a design tribunal. We trust our residents to raise families, pay taxes, and vote. Surely we can trust them to paint their home a tasteful sage green if they so choose. If we're worried about property value, let's remember curb appeal comes from well-maintained properties and vibrant communities, not from color conformity that would make a paint store cry. So I ask you, can we loosen the grip on these HOA-level paint controls and let Palm Coast express itself in more than 42 shades of beige? Do you like that? That was a pun. Okay, you didn't get it. All right, it's fine. Well, let's give our residents some breathing room before someone has to launch an underground paint rebellion. Thank you. We should be able to paint your homes any color you want. I mean, listen, I don't like gray, but gray is on there, right? So we just gonna pick and choose? Who is picking and choosing what we're allowed to paint? You shouldn't have a choice. We should have the choice. It's my home. I pay for it. Governor DeSantis is trying to give her property taxes. He wants you to own your home and the land it's on and not have to pay taxes. Why do I have to conform to what paint you guys want? Look, I don't want a pink house next to me any more than I want a lime green. But you know what? If that's what that neighbor wants, and as long as they take care of it in the house, look, what am I supposed to say? That's not right. This whole paint thing is ridiculous. We should be able to do whatever we want. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, Ms.
Carol Stoughton, I'm all for the color of Mrs. Menendez's home. I went out on my own and I have researched 18 homes, of which I will tell you there's 2 on Ray Drive, there's 6 on Randolph Drive, there's 1 on Raymore, there's 2 on Randolph, there's 1 on Rain Tree, 1 on Rain Rock, 1 on Brooklyn Lane, that is almost the same color as Mrs. Menendez, 1 on Bryan Drive, 1 on Riviera Drive, 1 on Riverview Drive, and 1 on 106 Rickenbacker Drive. I take that you people don't ride around, not you, Mayor, but all you council people, and look and see what was here before. Now, all these people I spoke with, they're willing to start a class action suit if you go after who I feel is being singled out is Mrs. Melendez. She is being used as a target. She is homesteaded here. The person that signed the complaint lives in a home here. He happens to be a builder. Maybe that helps him with signing the complaint. And he does not homesteaded here. However, we're going to go after Mrs. Melendez, who has the nicest house on the block, and I feel it's totally unfair. I say if I can leave this piece of paper here, in your spare time, you could go out and look at these houses. And do you want to go after all of them too and have somebody sign a complaint just to make you all happy? No, live and let live. That's what I say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, Mr. Stone.
As you well know, Mike, we've been long renters. We just paid a high rent. If I want to move, I move. But you see that American flag behind you? People should not be told what color to paint their house. It's crazy. It's not right. They pay their taxes, they pay their mortgage. The city should not tell them, you got to pay a certain color. It's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Maurice, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir. Maurice Berry, good evening. In a previous workshop, I addressed the color ordinance issue based on a violation received on the color of my under construction home. After my comments, it was mentioned that what my builder originally submitted versus what the home is painted was why the citation was issued. I already spoke to the builder and code enforcement regarding the issue. However, the fact that remains that the color my wife and I decided to paint our home is being restricted. This is true with the current ordinance and will still be so with the proposed changes. For reference, this is the color that we chose to paint our home. By the manufacturer standards, it is in the color family of blue with teal undertones and has an LRV of 26. If blues and greens were listed in earth tones, it would be approved by current standards. However, I took the time to look at similar colors based on the proposed changes, adding the Bermuda category with an LRV of 65. In the range of similar colors to my selection, 30 of 36 are still not approved. The 6 that would be approved barely have pigmentation, look almost identical to each other, and have no resemblance of the intent of our home's color scheme. This is just a small sampling compared to the array of colors available at Lowe's and Home Depot. The percentage of my sampling that would be approved is roughly 17%, which is still extremely restrictive. Additionally, comments keep being made in regard to potential home sales, curb appeal, and value of neighboring properties on the basis of color. As someone who is currently building a home, had an appraisal, and went through an additional reconsideration of value process, I reviewed a year of Palm Coast MLS listings for comparable sold homes to justify the value of the home. Not one listing, any appraisal data, or reconsideration of value metrics had color as a weighted factor for property value or sales. To state that the color of a home affects the value of neighboring properties is not data-backed, and comparing the color of well-kept homes in the same category as homes where there is hoarding and other egregious violations is not a valid argument. Another factor I want to address is the color of the Palm Coast Water Tower. Although not a residence, it is relevant to this discussion because it's a visual representation of this city. However, it is a misrepresentation because it is painted with an LRV color that is not approved for residence homes. This is not fair or equitable and reflects a do as I say, not as I do sentiment. It has been stated that it was grandfathered in for the city, but when grandfathering of current home colors was brought up in this proposal, it gained no ground. This issue has been on the table long enough and has undoubtedly been a drain of time and resources for something that shouldn't even be regulated item outside of an actual HOA. The opportunity to rectify this and get in front of any future wasted time and resources for this issue is now. Please make the changes realistic and make them fair. This can be done by either eliminating the restrictions altogether, adding tones of blues and greens to the earth tone palette, grandfathering in currently painted homes, or bringing the allowable LRV for proposed color changes up to the LRV allowed on the city water tower. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maurice. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name's Arnesia King. I am a proud owner for 3 years of, well, actually 4 this month, of my home. And the reason why we bought a home is because we got tired of renting and people telling us what to do with the home, and we couldn't do things. So now we get a chance to have freedom, just like Bruce was saying about the flag, we have freedom. So I want to just talk about freedom of expression through color of Palm Coast. The residents of Palm Coast, Florida should have the right to paint their homes in any color they choose. Personal expression is a fundamental aspect of vibrant and diverse community, and a person's home is often the most powerful canvas for that creativity. Whether it is bold turquoise or soft lavender or classic cream, each color tells a story of identity, culture, and individuality. You see my shirt? I love culture, my culture. Restricting color choices undermines this freedom and discourages innovation and pride in one's property. A neighborhood full of color reflects a neighborhood full of life. As long as homes are kept safe, structurally sound, homeowners should be empowered to make their residents a reflection of who they are. Let Palm Coast be a community that celebrates individuality, not conformity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
How you doing again, Paul Descartes? To speak on choosing colors for the paint of the house, I feel that should be taken away because I own pressure washing and handyman service business for over 20 years. And I painted many homes. And one thing that I've seen with a lot of my customers is that they get so stressed out attempting to pick a color that their house won't get fined or tagged, or they have to do the whole thing over again, especially when I deal with the elderly. They don't know what to do because they're like, I don't want my house to get tagged, or get a fine and have to do all of this all over again. It's more stress than anything else, especially like they're speaking about, you buy your home, you should have the right to do what it is, what you want with your home. I'm not saying no crazy neon pink or yellow or anything like that, but with a simple brown or green, and if that's what they choose and that's what they like, and they spent over $400,000 or $500,000 on their house, it shouldn't be a problem where they're being stressed out about how to go about painting their house. It's always stressful enough getting your house painted, who to get it painted. Then to sit up here and pick out, oh, I gotta wait to what the city says about me painting my house. And I don't feel that's right, especially towards the elderly, because they get so stressed out. I seen them cry because they didn't know what to do because they said the city's not gonna approve it. And I just don't feel that's right. That should be taken off the board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Anna Marie Long, Flagler HBA. Mr. Mayor, it looks like you and I might agree on something. So I wasn't really too into this, but I was reviewing tonight's agenda, and so I was looking at the history of this ordinance, and I saw that it went up before the PLD or RB Planning Board. And one of the things that I noticed that I think was really important is that the board cited one of their reasons for denial was that it wasn't what the residents wanted. And they said that was because the residents stated during the comprehensive plan, during the planning, which we all know that truly only a small group of people actually participate in it, as much as we try. It's not a reflection on the city. Everyone, I know you try, but it's the reality. That they wanted the neighborhoods to stay the same. Being in the building community, what I believe that is truly referring to, given the current climate, is to not put apartments where there's single-family homes, to not put fourplexes where there's single-family homes. That's what I believe that comment was referring to. That's been the real discussion that's occurred in this room for the past several years, was don't put a huge apartment in my backyard. I don't think the intent of those comments during the comprehensive plan for 2050 had anything to do with the color of their neighbor's home. The comments on property value that you've all heard are absolutely correct. Being an industry professional, I will back them up. And if you don't believe me, still, Flagler Beach or any beachside community is also a really good indicator of that because they have color, they have murals. I'm not suggesting that you take it that far, but I just have to wonder, how much more pride would your neighbors take in their home if they got to do a little bit extra with it? If they didn't just get to do some more gardening, but they got to paint it the color that they wanted, made it personable and reflect who they are and who their family is, something fun to come home to. It's silly enough that we have alphabet sections. I joke that a bunch of drunk old guys must have designed the street names here. But then you go through those sections and then it's beige, on brown, on tan, on white. And it just gets a little boxes full of people sitting in their homes. And I would love to see a vibrant community with everyone outside. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Miss Mindy.
Mindy Melendez, sorry. I am respectfully requesting that my home's color be grandfathered in or variance be granted. I have acted in good faith throughout this nearly 2-year process, consistently following through the direction I've been given by the city and the staff. When I received the violation, I was not advised that I needed to pursue a formal appeal, going through the code board and appeal at that time. I was told to follow the current route, which has brought me here. Because of that, the window for appeal has lapsed through no fault of my own, and I have essentially been placed in a position without recourse, except through this variance or grandfathering request. What's especially concerning is the lack of consistent enforcement. There are multiple homes within this city that have the same color or similar colors of mine, which have been painted longer than mine, but yet I am the one who received the citation. The only difference in my case, it appears that a neighbor filed a complaint. That raises serious concern about selective enforcement, which can be a legal issue in itself. Additionally, this board has focused its attention on the LRV being of color of a lighter, emphasizing the high LRV values in pastel shades, but has not encountered a broader spectrum of the complement colors in a darker LRV. I'm not asking to rewrite the code, I'm simply asking to be treated fairly and consistently. Again, I respectfully request that my color be grandfathered in or be granted a variance. I'm looking at the LRVs that you guys have chosen. This is what the neighborhoods will look like. These are LRVs 65 and lighter. All the homes will look like that. If you add the normal, the darker colors, you could add these to the LRV. There is nothing wrong with adding darker to it. You guys never even looked at the LRV. The city doesn't even own an LRV machine to check. So they don't even know what colors. And if you went to look, you change the LRV to darker, these colors would have been approved. But nobody looked at the LRV darker. Nobody even mentioned it. And that's what I've been coming here fighting for 2 years. And I've gotten pastel, pastel, pastel. It's not even the issue here. The issue is a darker color. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else concerning this matter? Yes, ma'am, Miss Denise Henry.
Hi, Denise Henry, P-Section. Earlier this year, when the first came up about the exterior paint colors, it was pretty much a consensus of a few members, at least most of the members of the council, that we would just exclude certain vibrant colors like magenta, purple, and now all it seemed to do was, you added in blues, and then but you made that LRV not at a right thing, and the LRV really should just be excluded. I mean, if I drive down the street and you see a white, gray, beige, and then you see a darker color like sage, and there are through our community, it makes the street look better. It truly does, and it makes me feel more, wanting to live in Palm Coast. So I don't think that this ordinance, written the way it is, and when I read the backup for the ordinance, it said there weren't enough people to come and say that they wanted colors to be expanded. That's not a way to approach it. You need to approach it as how many people actually complain. And it is true. Most people, it's just some neighbor who likes to take every single little ordinance and then complain at their neighbor. And that is truth, that most of the complaints just come from one neighbor who has nothing better to do, I guess. I mean, I don't have time for that. But I really think that people should have freedom to paint their house the way they want. I do like the darker colors, and I think you should get rid of the LRV.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, Mr. McDonald.
I don't have a position on this one way or the other, but I did want to mention this. Many years ago, nationally, there was a food chain, and they had a red dot, okay, in their name. Okay, the name that they had was black, but it had a red dot. All right, and so they were in a town, and this was in Connecticut that this actually happened, and this is a national food chain, and so consequently, you had a situation where the town decided you can't have a red dot. It's in their name, right? You can't have a light up sign that has a red dot in it. It was against their color controls, okay? It went all the way to the big time, okay? And the town lost, okay? And it was a significant loss as far as the cost and everything else. And this was decades ago. So I don't know where you're going with this, with the colors, but I did want to offer one thing. If you don't want to live in a neighborhood that has control of colors, then go to an HOA or go to a condo. If you don't, then you live in the city. You have a choice one way or another, so there is choice one way or the other. But the bottom line is that nationally, you can't sustain this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for public comment? Nope, you can't speak again, Ms. Jeannie. I'll bring it back to the dais. Anyone have any final comments before the vote?
So I just want to make it very clear, we already have a color code. So we already have an ordinance in place now that restricts the colors. We're not adding a code that restricts colors of Palm Coast. We're broadening the spectrum and allowing more colors. So just for the public's benefit, this isn't a new ordinance. We're being more lenient on the current ordinance that is already in existence. And for all of the people that have said that they want no color restrictions, I will tell you, I've been contacted by a lot of people who say, no, we moved here because there are color restrictions. We like the fact that there are color restrictions. So I honestly do think that this, from everything that I have been told, and people send me pictures of houses and say, hey, look, is this within code? Is that within code? People do care about it. So I understand the argument on both sides. I'm not opposed to adding blues and greens to our definition of earth tones. I think that's totally fine moving forward. But that doesn't, Ms. Melendez, I have no issue allowing you to go through the appeals process. If you'd let me finish. Going through the appeals process, even though the date has passed. I think the board can probably vote on that. But even adding blues and greens to the earth tone definition doesn't fix Ms. Melendez's problem. So that process still needs to be abided by. So I don't, I can amend my motion to accept the colors as proposed by staff and add blues and greens into the definition of earth tone. Everything that I'm seeing online, it seems to encompass that, but that would be moving forward. So our code had to have been complied with as it was previously. If there is adding the blues and greens, if that does grandfather certain properties in, I have no issue with them being grandfathered in. But that doesn't mean that if you're still outside of that LRV, that you can just have your house continuing to be out of compliance. So I think that adding blues and greens is fine to the earth tones, and keeping it, expanding the LRV to the other colors this way is a reasonable balance. It's a strike of a reasonable balance between both sides of this coin.
Well, it wouldn't just be the shades, it would be basically the LRV. What LRV will we have to allow Ms. Grossman to facilitate Ms. Melendez's house? How high would that LRV have to go?
It's like 12.
We believe it's about a 12, is that correct, Ms. Melendez?
I think in previous hearings, we've established that it's 12.
What's our limit right now?
25.
25.
Not even close. That's my point.
But that you're not going to get those darker colors unless you expand the LRV. It doesn't matter what shade of blue,
Yeah,
it's
but
still going to have to be.
here's the thing, Mayor. Here's my issue with this whole thing. If we either have to allow everything, or we have to draw a line in the sand, because we had some people come up and say, well, yeah, accept everything except for the magentas and the neons. Well, who are you to say that neon shouldn't be accepted then? Everybody has a subjective opinion. Using the LRV is an objective measurement. It's a way to, without saying one thing looks good and another thing doesn't. I like the darker colors. This isn't in my best interest. I would love to paint my color a darker, or my house a darker color. This is an objective measurement. That's why we struck this.
I have one question.
Go ahead, sir.
I have the mic. I have some serious reservations on maintaining the exterior color, the way we do it. And could we table this second reading to see if it's possible to add some additional colors and do it that way tonight? So my feeling was there is a lot of difference on this, including myself, and freedom and all that kind of stuff. So what I would like to see us do is not reject the second reading, but table it for further review.
So if I may, Councilman, what are you thinking about as far as expansion, or just so we have to give staff some direction? If I withdraw my motion, staff needs some type of direction as to where to go.
Well, I think when we had that one meeting, I think there were only 3 people here, me, you, and Mr. Miller, right, Councilman
Yeah, but
Gambaro?
we've had other meetings since then, Mayor.
No, but I'm saying back then, we were like, just get rid of it. Other than the fuchsias and the polka dots and stuff like that, we've had this discussion over and over and over again. I'm still in favor of just getting rid of it altogether. Like I said, you're going to have spite painters. People are going to paint their house out of spite.
So just a little point of order, since we're talking a lot here. So if you do make changes that you want to add colors, that would be a major change. So you're going back to first reading. Secondly, if we want to make some type of change, there needs to be a withdrawal of Ms. Pontieri's motion before you discuss making those changes. So just clarifying those.
That's what I would suggest, Vice Mayor, is withdraw your motion. What were the band colors and patterns? Ms. Barber, you remember that? What was it? No polka dots? What were those specifics that are in there?
The prohibited colors?
The prohibited colors and,
Neon, fuchsia, magenta, orange. Yeah, that's
Purple?
about, purple, correct, but we added the lavender into the light
the
Bermuda
lavender's
colors.
in there with the
Right.
lighter earth tones.
But that's my point. Who are we to say that purple shouldn't be allowed?
That's why you get rid of it altogether, Vice Mayor. No restrictions on paint color.
So I have a question. When we say no neons, what were, with this new ordinance, we were lowering the LRV to what?
65.
Okay, so if you, I was researching what do neon colors, what LRV do they have? And some of them,
Fall into that category, right? They
some of
can.
them with Sherwin-Williams, yeah, they do. I mean, one of them is 75. So in other words, there was comment that, we shouldn't allow neons. Well, we would.
It's too subjective. Color is too subjective. That's why I would want to get rid of it completely. No, ma'am, public comment's over. That's been my approach from the beginning, and I'm a painter. So,
I'll withdraw the motion. I mean, I think we need to put a bow on this. We've been talking about this for a really long time. I mean, we need to fish or cut bait on this. So that's why I'm asking what the direction to staff should be so that we don't re-workshop this. We can give them something to come back with and actually advance this forward.
Okay, Vice Mayor has withdrawn her.
I withdraw my second.
I motion that we remove all color restrictions on houses in the city of Palm Coast. That's my motion.
Mayor, you have to pass the gavel.
I'm sorry, I have to pass the gavel to the Vice Mayor. I make a motion that we remove all color restrictions on houses in the city of Palm Coast. If you want color restrictions, move it into an HOA.
Do I have a second?
Second. We have a second. Any further discussion? Oh,
You don't have a gavel.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I want to make sure we're being consistent with regards to what we are doing in the city of Palm Coast as far as policy decisions. We have two related ordinances that will be coming before this council. One is the work and commercial vehicle ordinance, and then we decided on a pilot program for chickens because this council also said, well, you shouldn't just be able to have chickens in your backyard. So, I mean, to an extent, I feel like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth if we're going to just go full bore on some things and say, oh, we're going to restrict others. So when it comes to the commercial and the work vehicles, are we going to say, okay, you can park whatever you want in your driveway? Is that the direction that council is now going?
Well, now, stop. We're talking, when we're talking about commercial motor vehicles, we're talking about signage. We're not talking about commercial motor vehicles, because we've already defined commercial motor vehicles as being those vehicles that are rated above 26,000 pounds. So we're talking, it's about signage, and it's still a freedom of speech.
No, Mayor, that has nothing to do with what we decided. What we haven't decided, we haven't passed an ordinance on that. What we discussed was we need to be reasonable with regards to the policy decisions that we're making up here. So the discussion was, are we going to allow wrapped vehicles, or are we going to start allowing really construction vehicles in driveways?
But we haven't received the first read of that. That's scheduled later in September.
I know, but we gave direction to staff, and the direction that we gave to staff was not to just allow people to park whatever they want in their driveway. So that's the analogy I'm drawing here.
That wasn't my intent.
What wasn't your intent?
No, it wasn't my intent. When we're talking about commercial vehicles, we're talking about signage, not the actual vehicle as far as, truck, trailer, semi-combination parked in a driveway. That's not, the content of that discussion was about signage on vehicles.
No, it wasn't. Commercial vehicles have nothing to do with signage. Yes, a lot of them do have signage, but that is not how a commercial vehicle is defined. And the question was, to what extent are we going to allow commercial vehicles to be parked in driveways? And this council decided we were not going to just allow people to park whatever commercial vehicles they wanted in their driveways, because we wanted to come up with reasonable regulation. That is an adverse decision than saying, we're just going to allow people to park whatever they want, and we're going to allow people to paint whatever they want. Because the discussion was, this is a residential neighborhood, and we don't want people parking their commercial vehicles or their food trucks or whatever it may be in their driveways. So again, obviously we're going to vote, and this council is going to make a decision, but I just want us to be consistent. That's all I'm asking for.
Can I add one thing just for point of information? So no matter what, if this council decides to move forward with repealing the ordinance, it would not be repealed tonight. It would have to go through 2 reads.
Yes, sir.
And so make sure everyone's tracking that.
Like I said, we got all caught up in it's signage. It's not commercial motor vehicles. Commercial motor vehicles have a definitive definition by state statute. It's about signage. It's not about the vehicle. If the city ordinance says you can't have a truck, tractor, semi-trailer combination rated above 26,000 pounds parked in your driveway, you can't have it. Now, if you have a work van, if you have a Sprinter van and you have a wrap for your business on it and it's below 26,000 pounds, that's signage. It's not a definition problem with commercial.
That's because that's how we've defined it, Mayor. We stated from here that we are going to put certain limitations as to what types of work vehicles people can park in their driveways. We decided that. We decided to expand the allowances a little bit to be reasonable and allow work vehicles to be parked in driveways. We did not say, okay, park whatever you want in your driveway. That's the analogy I'm making. Now we're saying, paint your house whatever you want, rather than going the reasonable route, which we had previously decided per this, now that we're at a second read. So, I mean, that's my point as far as making regulation from the dais.
This is a totally separate subject than commercial motor vehicles.
Any other discussion from the dais?
Have a second.
Roll call vote, please.
Oh, you have to open it.
Do we have to go back out to public comment for this as well? Okay, public comment. On the current motion.
Dennis McDonald. So may I suggest that before you do this, okay, I don't think you heard what I was talking about before, okay? Is what you're doing with the colors legally sustainable? That's a question for the attorney and for the attorney to go off and find out, because that was a national precedence that was set, okay? So you really need to look into whether or not what you're doing, you know, with colors is legal or not legal according to the Supreme Court, okay, and other decisions that have been made around the country. So, and to your point about trucks, one of the reasons that there are limitations on the trucks is having to do with public safety and health, okay? And I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but the whole basis of zoning, okay, nationally, everywhere it was created, was having to do with public health and human safety. That's where it all comes from, and it stems from in court decisions that go all the way back. And so I've certainly been up against that a number of times, you know, as a developer my whole life. So what I'm saying is that rather than have this lady come up and say she's got a whole bunch of neighbors that are going to put together a class action suit, why do you have to do that to people? Okay? Why can't we use a few of our tax dollars, get an opinion from somebody who knows about these types of decisions, okay, have them transfer it to Mr. Duffy, or Mr. Duffy can look it up, however you choose to do that, but at least get some type of legal interpretation on color, all right? And so I just think that would be a much safer move to make, and it would be better, our dollars better spent. Thank you.
Carol Stoughton. Ms. Pontieri, you always have a point of throwing a cog in every wheel up there. We're talking about painting houses. And right now, I want to see what the mayor has said to go through. This is my second home in Palm Coast. I had a bright yellow house on Bradley Place. And when I decided, after seeing what happened to Ms. Melendez with her home, I took a rotten color beige, and it cost me $3,000. Well, I feel, let's discuss this matter and not go into cars and trucks parked in driveways and trailers and all that. These people have to earn a living, and they have to come home at night and park their cars. Matter of fact, I hired a man who was pleading to you people to let his truck, he's a handyman, did a great job for me. But anyway, let's get back to houses and colors. I feel that this problem should be solved right here and right now. Or do we go, I'll go out and get these people, and I will start a class action suit for these people with them and help them accomplish it. And they have had their houses painted the same color as Miss Melendez 2-3 years ago. There's a black house right on Whitesville Road, black. Matter of fact, this building is brown and doesn't conform to the town. It's an earth color. So what is wrong with Mrs. Melendez's house? She's got the best house on the block, and I guess there's people that are jealous. And the woman who doesn't like it, her husband's a builder here in town. Thank you.
Okay, 7 years ago, I repainted my house. I came here.
Ma'am, can you just announce your name for the record, please?
Regine Bernier.
Thank you.
And they told me that I could not paint dark color. And I says, why? Because they say some idiot on the road's gonna hit your house and destroy your house. So therefore, paint it white so they can see it during the night. That's all I gotta say.
Jeannie Duarte, I don't understand how throwing a wrench in there, bringing up commercial vehicles has anything to do with the house color. During the day when people are actually able to see the house, those commercial vehicles are gone. So don't associate commercial vehicles with the color of houses. That should be, you should be embarrassed of that.
Mindy Melendez. So if you go with all colors, ChatGPT and I became really good friends. There's nothing wrong with this. Like, this is something that the city would be proud of. If you look through our city, all these people have houses that are out of code, but they haven't been cited. No complaint has been put in. And it's been ongoing, and this was my start from the beginning. I've had these from a long time ago. This is a neon color around the trim. I don't see anything wrong with it. It goes with the gray. And if you go to Lowe's to get paint now, there's no LRVs on the back of the paint colors. So you would have to take it somewhere else. Even on the Sherman-Williams paint, there's no LRV code. And again, the city does not have a device to check LRVs. So how are they enforcing LRVs when they don't even have that machine? I think it's a waste of money on having code enforcement go around and check people's houses. They don't do it because they don't have the manpower. And then we're gonna employ somebody and pay them to check on a citizen's house color? That's a lot of wasted money.
Maurice Berry again. Just for a point of reference on the LRVs, the top of this chart ranges from about 7 to 20 for darkness, and the bottom part, I think the highest here is about 73. So even on the old standard with this light color here, it wouldn't have, none of these would have met the mark. One thing I just really wanted to talk about was my house is under construction. The painting of it wasn't even finished before I was cited. And it was something that was brought up. I wasn't able to find out who, but I'm not interested in that. The fact that our house isn't the color we want it to stay is the issue. We're on interior finishes. And soon we're gonna get to a point, and our builder just asked, what do we find out about the code enforcement for the color issue? Because I requested the extension. Just pending this on what we're gonna do with our house and how much more it's gonna cost me. So this is something that is starting to come up close to the time where we're supposed to be moving in and doing the final closing of the home. So as they said before, everyone that's built a home or bought a home knows that it's a stressful process. So with that being said, I would prefer to see it just completely eliminated altogether. I did propose that it be reasonable, but if that's on the table, that would be just, elating to everyone, at least with this issue. I don't care what someone else's house looks like, as long as it's maintained, as long as it's in good order. Like everyone said, we're in a free country, and this is a free state, so allow the people to paint what they want. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else for public comment on this issue? Bring it back to the dais. Any further discussion? Councilman Gambaro.
What are the prohibited colors again? I'm looking at staff. Yeah.
Sorry, magenta, orange, fuchsia, purple, fluorescent neon colors.
Okay, is that included in your motion, Mr. Mayor?
It's removing all color restrictions.
Those colors would be allowed.
In a free state of Florida, brother.
I'm born and raised, Mr. Mayor, born and raised. How long has this ordinance been in place? Do you know the existing ordinance?
The history on this goes back to, at one point in time, ITT had an architectural review committee, and they required the colors to be given at time of submittal. The Palm Coast Community Service Corporation was formed in 1993. They continued with color standards, and in 2005, the Palm Coast Community Service Corporation merged with the city of Palm Coast, and then at that point, it intertwined with changing the land development code.
Okay.
2008, August 2008. August 2008.
Okay. All right. Just need to be careful. I mean, standards are put in for a reason, and I think the vice mayor's point is it's a slippery slope. So we just need to balance it and be reasonable as we move forward. But Mr. Mayor, if you want to paint your house orange and blue, I support that.
I have an orange one around the corner from me. Dark orange.
Okay, that's all I have, Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Any other comment from the dais?
Nope.
All right, Ms. Cook, please call the vote.
Sorry, just for clarification, because this is kind of confusing. So if you vote in favor of this motion, you're voting to repeal the ordinance. So just want to clarify that for you all.
And we'll have to go to a second read.
First and second
First
read.
and
So this is just start the process. It'd have to go to planning board first too. So it's going to be a process.
Can it go to, will we have to send it to planning board, or can we read first ordinance and then send it to
We have
planning
to go to
board?
planning board because this is a land development code. Right, Mr. Tyner?
Yes, and just to get, I'm sorry, Ray Tyner, I'm Deputy Chief Development Officer, or Deputy Director. Ray Tyner, just to be clear on the motion, just so we have some directions, I guess what I'm hearing is that we are eliminating all the colors, including the prohibited colors, right? And not regulating colors. Now, does this also include, within our code, we have language that you are allowed to have, I think, 2 base colors for your house?
One body
base
color unless you have a recessed front entry and 2 accent colors.
and 2 accent colors, so are we eliminating that too?
That should, to me, that should remain the same, and I've said that before. Base color, two other colors, accent colors, to me.
Marcus.
Just wanted to be clear.
Sorry, just for clarification, because we've already gone to BEAC and Planning Board and back to this council numerous times on this item. Whenever it did go to Planning Board about removing the colors and restrictions, Planning Board already recommended to deny that, that process. So does it have to go to Planning Board again, since they already said they don't agree with City Council's?
When I went to planning board, sorry, this is good conversation. When I went to planning board, were they under the reviewing an ordinance to remove all the prohibited colors?
Yeah, I mean,
The only difference would be that removing the light reflective value, but keeping the prohibited colors. That was the planning board, what they saw.
Say that one more time, sorry, I'm trying to.
removing the light reflected value, but keeping the prohibited colors like purple, magenta,
Yeah.
fuchsia, and orange.
But when they went to planning board, it was not something like this that we're looking at right now that's being proposed.
No, the difference is with
It's-
this version would remove the prohibited colors.
Okay, so it's everything but what the mayor said about those 2 colors that you,
Yeah,
Base
that'll
color,
remain.
accent, 2
okay.
accents.
So I would say under that, it still go to planning board for a review again, because it's a totally different ordinance now.
So I'm just, going to play devil's advocate here. We'll take your direction, but this is the 12th time that this has been heard. So when we talk about government efficiency and spending a lot of time on things, this requires now 3 more public hearings. So just letting you know that's more staff time and cost on this particular item.
I'm curious, Marcus, whether or not, because I assume the planning board's going to say no. They already said no once, and that was even that proposal was even less restrictive than this one, because this one, we're saying we're even getting rid of the prohibited colors. So do we really anticipate a different response from planning board at this point?
I mean, no, but usually, sorry, let me pull the mic forward. Usually it's the process is that when you're bringing it an ordinance or repealing an ordinance, it goes to planning board first. My only hesitant, I mean, there's risk, you could try it, but there's risk that when you're repealing it, it didn't go through the planning board process, so it could be viewed that you're skipping a step.
So just because we did not previously put in front of them as a part of the repeal all of the prohibited colors, it's your opinion that we need to send it back to them again?
Because you're doing a brand new ordinance now, if you think about it. Like you're now, because what will happen, I'll have to write up saying that we're repealing this ordinance. I don't know, I forget the name of it, the title, but it's a brand new ordinance now. So it's not the same thing that was brought before and before. Trust me, I don't want to waste time either, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Vice Mayor, I'd be willing to amend the motion to maintain those band colors the way we did it before. That's what we did. That's when we first had that one meeting, that's what we did. Kept the restricted colors, but then other people were saying, well, you can't tell anybody what they can paint their house.
Well, I'm of the opinion that if you're going to say we're not going to have exterior colors, then you shouldn't be picking and choosing prohibited colors.
Yeah.
I mean, because who am I to say that, no, magenta is more offensive than blue? So if you're going to get rid of all of them, I think you just have to get rid of all of them to be fair and take the subjectivity out of it.
Just have to go back to the.
So it's going to have to go back to planning board.
Yes, ma'am.
So roll call.
All right, so we'll have to go back to planning board. Any other comments or questions from the dais? Ms. Cook, please call the vote.
Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro?
Yes.
Member Sullivan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
I'm tired of paint. I can't eat paint. All right, Marcus, we're moving on to the next. Item H, resolutions. City manager?
I'll just read it in.
I'm sorry. I was going to let the city manager handle it. This is, well, go right ahead. Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Resolution 2025 approving a contract for Granicus LLC for agenda and meeting management platform. Over to you, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Doug is here to answer any questions that you may have, but this is a new software that will allow us to make the agenda packets ADA compliant as well as more transparent to the public. That's why the full backup is not posted online now. So it'll streamline that service as well as help us create various workflows and automated notifications, document search, video streaming, and other various opportunities with this new software.
All right, thank you, City Manager. This was the programming that you were looking for funding before the end of the year?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, and you managed to pull it off. Okay, Doug, go right ahead if you have something. You have something for us?
I'm just ready for questions if you have any. Yes, sir.
The whole purpose of this program is to bring us more in compliance with ADA residents and being able to access our information through the city websites and audio, video enhancement, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, go right ahead.
Good evening. So I'm looking at the price tag for this. So it's $303,000 over 3 years. So roughly $100,000 a year to bring us into compliance. Is that correct?
That's the first year. There's about just under $40,000 in one-time fees for onboarding and setting up, and then yes, sir. The first year's cost is $82,000, then $88,000, then $94,000 the third year.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything else from the dais? Anything? Need to open this for public participation, Marcus? Oh, I'm sorry. Can we get a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor, move to approve this resolution.
Got a motion to approve? Vice Mayor or Councilman Sullivan?
I'll second.
We got a second?
Like we have a second.
Yeah, any further discussion? No further discussion. We'll open it up to public comment. You got something, Mr. McDonald?
I do.
This is this specific contract.
You bet. All right, so hey, Dennis McDonald, have you looked at this contract and who it's with? Mr. Gambaro's right, it's a lot of money, okay? And there's 130 grand that gets paid the first year, then the remainder of it gets paid over the remaining 2 years, okay? This is to better engage the public. You don't think the public is engaged now, and you think this is going to engage them more? But here's the reason why I'm standing before you talking about this. You need to look a little bit harder at what's going on, because all this stuff is online and they have access to all kinds of information, okay? And we all know what we're subject to in the world that we live in now. We don't know where any of this stuff ends up. So the bottom line is, this company is owned by a Canadian corporation, okay? My question, especially to Mr. Gambaro and Mr. Sullivan, is, considering your past history, why are we doing business with un-American companies? Okay, there's nobody in the United States that can do this. I have to tell you, this has been a sore point with me for years. This is one of the reasons I fought to get rid of Common Core in this state for our kids. And we're the only state that got rid of it, okay? It's very simply this. Pearson LLC is the monster that owns 41 publishing houses, and everybody thinks that they're all different. They're not. All the books that we read in school when we were kids, okay, are all owned by one monster, okay? But they're on the London Stock Exchange. And many years ago, when I did a deep dive into this thing, they were making billions of dollars by writing the curriculum for all of our kids in Florida and most places in the United States. Do you know where they wrote their curriculum, Council? In India. So my question here is, very simply this. Doug can't find somebody in the United States, a corporation that not a front that's in Denver, okay, but they can't find a corporation, okay, that keeps our money in the United States? This is just wrong, just wrong all the way across the board. Don't vote for it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing no one come forward, we'll bring it back to the dais. Any closing comments?
Did we go to RFP on this?
Yes, ma'am.
And we used our bidding process, the I guess, scoring process that we used in every other?
Correct, it was a formal bid, yes, it was advertised. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comment?
Yeah, I have one, Mr. Mayor. So I'm looking at the master services agreement, Doug, and it says that the primary place of business is 1152 15th Street Northwest Suite 800, Washington, D.C. Okay, is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's also a Form 7 in the RFP process that says for a country of concern, attestation. There are no issues there?
No, sir.
Is this a Canadian-owned company?
Not to my knowledge, it went through the formal bid process.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
I have no problems with Canadian-owned companies. Doug, well, actually, the Logitech that did the traffic calming devices, that's a Canadian company as well. Any further discussion?
No.
Ms. Cook?
Vice Mayor Pontieri?
Yes.
Councilmember Gambaro?
Yes.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Norris?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our item E, our last public participation. If anyone have any follow-up public participation? Yes, Ms. Carroll.
Did too much lawn work. Carol Stoughton, to the city, acting city manager. The transactional fees were discussed. However, I don't feel the people should be paying, as I said, when you people should have advertised for another company to do the billing, and perhaps they wouldn't be putting extra envelopes in the mail. Now, as far as what we just discussed with colors, you mean to tell me that we're going back?
Mr. Mayor, this has already been discussed on the agenda.
It's already been an agenda item,
I
Ms.
can't
Carroll.
talk about the colors? Okay, but I didn't vote for the people that you're going to refer it to, so I don't know why they have jurisdiction. But anyway, I'd like to know where we stand with hiring a city manager. Has anything been done on that yet, or is that going to be squashed again? Because I think the present acting city manager kind of fouled that up, and where is a new bunch of people going to come in and run our town? And whatever happened to this audit that was supposed to take place? Is that going on? Do we have any answers, or you can't respond to me? I don't know. We need a city audit. And the man that got up and doesn't know how much money is being spent on this building, I couldn't believe that. And Ms. Pontieri, I think the mayor's choice of words, as far as when he was describing something before, was his prerogative to use those words, and I don't think you have a right to chastise him.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Risa.
Risa Pabst. I just want to say that, Lauren, we met back in February, and I discussed with you at that time about in the need of having our employee that we currently
Again,
pay
Mr. Mayor,
for.
she already brought this up at the public comment at the start of this
It's
meeting.
already been
Okay.
discussed.
All right, well,
No
I
worries.
can't refute the fact that she...
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing no one come forward, we'll bring it back to the dais. For closing comments from city council, items not on the agenda. Anyone have anything?
Just really quickly, want to wish everybody a safe and happy Independence Day. Looking forward to seeing everybody out at the airport for 4th of July and Independence Day celebration. Hopefully we don't get rained out. But please, everybody, be safe. And I know there are going to be a lot of questions about the fireworks ordinances. Is the city going to post something just with regards to what kind of the high-level rules are in the city on fireworks?
Yes, we will.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else from the dais? Any council members? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to let the council know and the general public that I attended the joint Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, and we covered a variety of different topics. There was a really excellent guide that I asked one of the staff members that attended to pass that along to everybody, and so my understanding is that that email has gone out and you guys have that guide. The other piece is the committee has the ability to present affordable housing assessments for us to consider as we look forward through any future actions or increases to kind of give us another independent look as we take actions as a body. And as I get more information on how that works, I want to bring that forward and see if something we either want to invest in or take the time to participate with. And then the last, to echo the Vice Mayor's comments, we live in the greatest country the world has ever seen. I continuously travel, internationally, and, when you come back, there's no question, there's not any doubt that we are the luckiest people in the world to live in a country like the one that we live in. And we have a lot to be thankful for, and quite frankly, we have a lot to be thankful for because we live in the city of Palm Coast. We all have our differences. We don't always agree, but I've seen what disagreement looks like elsewhere in the world, and it's not pretty. And I think we're not perfect, but I continue to work forward and work in a positive way to work through all of our issues and to compromise sometimes, right? I don't always get what I want, and so you can ask my wife. She wins most of the time, but really, I mean, as a council, I just appreciate the staff, everybody's hard work, and I appreciate the council as we continue to move forward through disagreements that we may have to try to do what's best for our residents. So have a great 4th of July. Have a safe 4th of July holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Sullivan, you have anything?
Just, I was happy to see that the governor did sign the bill, the budget for the year for the state, and included in that was our request for, I think it comes out to be $5 million total to help with our wastewater situation. So I think that was good news, and happy 4th of July to everybody. I hope everybody enjoys the holidays, because it looks like the governor's going along. We've got, for working people, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off.
Thank you, sir. I have nothing. City manager? Or is it supposed to be Mr. Duffy first? Nothing from me, sir. Nothing from Mr. Duffy?
Yes, just a few updates, Mayor. Wanted to congratulate the City Council on our legislative priorities, $5 million going to wastewater infrastructure projects and $125,000 going to our future YMCA. So that was really great accomplishment, and loved working alongside of you in Tallahassee this year, and look forward to next year. Our lobbyist, the Southern Group, will be back in front of you on August 12th to review any changes that were done in Tallahassee this year. Also, it's good to have on the agenda that your last agreement with them was to only have a one-year contract with additional one-year renewals. So after that presentation, we'll prepare that renewal for you. Next is health insurance. We presented to you at the workshop. I sent you additional information, was looking for some guidance as we prepare the budget for next week.
Anything specific on that? We were going with the, what was the alternate as far as
Was
health
it the
savings
PPO that
account?
you're looking guidance on?
Correct. It was our recommendation to pause PPO for any new hires, so those who are on the existing plan will remain, but any new hires would not be eligible for that plan. Because the PPO plan does have claims that are higher, 56%, 20%, 63%, 9%, and it would roughly save us 1 to 1.5% from the 10% increase in the projected presented on June 24th.
So that was going with the health savings account. Anybody have any problem with that?
I think our plan is still reasonable in comparison to everybody else in the county or even the federal government, if you look at the Federal Employees Health Benefits Program. I think it's important for our employees to be able to seek the care that they need when they need it with the right doctors, and not have to jump through those hoops. So I don't support removing the PPO.
I have no problem with the health savings account as it was presented. What about you, Vice Mayor?
I'm in favor of keeping the PPO option.
The way it was presented, go along with
Well, there were two different options. That
it. Well,
was,
the option of keeping the PTO,
PPO.
but new people.
all right, that was, well, that's your guidance, city manager.
we're-
Well, I'm sorry. We'll have to make that decision when.
So
Mr. Miller
just, the budgets have already been prepared, the agendas has been released. Just keep in mind that there may be additional increases that wasn't considered in the budget that will be presented to you next year if you're going to be keeping the PPO plan.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Sorry, I just have a question, City Manager. The next meeting, we're discussing the general fund, correct?
Yes.
Can we see a comparison of what the general fund would look like, just the general fund alone, keeping PPO versus eliminating? Because we're not, I guess, next year, looking at next year's budget is not going to give us a really good estimate because we're not really hiring that many new people.
But if there's any turnovers in staff, you have like a 10% turnover rate. So if there's any new people coming into those positions is where you'll see those increases.
So just so I understand, the way we're moving forward now, we still have to make a final decision still has to be made during the budget process.
Yes.
But the way it's being presented is going to be to keep the PTO for those who already have it.
Yes.
But not let new employees go there.
Shifting
Correct.
over to the health savings account.
Right.
So we'll have to follow up during that next presentation when Mr. Miller's here,
Understood.
because you don't have a majority.
Understood. And then lastly, just want to remind council and the public that many of the things that the public comes and is very upset about, whether it's past policies from past city council, don't really have anything to do with staff. So also several staff members have moved on and have gone to other opportunities. So to blame them, they're not here. It's good to have a starting over and a starting fresh, and as things come before the board for your policy and decisions, like tonight, it's your policy to bring back the house colors. So we just want to be mindful of that, because I'm actively recruiting 2 top executives, a community development director and a utility director, and what I've heard is that they're listening to these meetings and they are reading what's happening. So want to make sure we're recruiting top professionals and having that top environment for them to operate in. And happy July 4th, and that concludes my comments.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any alibis? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.